I believe we have Dr. Bob Melamede, the CEO of Cannabis Science, Inc., which is stock ticker Charlie Bravo India Sierra. Good morning, Dr. Melamede. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine. Our sun hasn't risen yet out here in Colorado.
I'm actually in California, sir, so I'm feeling your pain a little bit. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day. And,
my pleasure.
Joining us. Well, sir, I'll go ahead and I'll just get right to it and go into your company and those type of things. So I'll just go through a series of questions about your company and your product and the things that you do. Sound good?
Sounds great. Yeah.
All right, Dr. Melamede, how long have you been involved in researching medical marijuana, and could you go into some brief history of your background?
Well, I have a long history of studying things that turned out to be involved with the reasons for a medical marijuana company. So let me elaborate on that a little bit. I'm getting older now. I'm 62 years old, and for most of my career I was involved in studying DNA repair of a specific type having to do with free radical damage, which in most circumstances is caused by radiation, X-irradiation. So that was kind of my scientific foundation. However, around 1990, it became clear that we had what's now become known as the endocannabinoid system. That essentially means marijuana from within. And what the heart of that system has to do with is the fact that we all make marijuana-like compounds. And what's become so amazing is that those marijuana-like compounds literally regulate everything in our body. And when I say everything, I mean all of our body systems, so our digestive system, cardiovascular system, nervous system, endocrine system, skeletal system, muscular system. All of our body systems are what's called homeostatically regulated by the endocannabinoids that we make. And essentially what's going on here is as we live and as we burn food for fuel in order to be alive, we make a byproduct known as free radicals. And most people have heard them. That's why they take vitamins like vitamin C and vitamin E, antioxidants. So making free radicals is kind of an inescapable consequence of life. But one of the negative consequences of these free radicals is that they're very reactive, and they react with literally everything that they touch. And what that does is it kind of deteriorates the quality of our biochemistry. I call it biochemical friction. So those free radicals, it turns out, the negative impact of free radicals is buffered by our endocannabinoid system, which is quite now miraculous in the sense that free radicals are believed to be underlying aging and age-related illnesses. And our cannabinoid system, therefore, is inhibiting aging and age-related illnesses. So it turns out that as we get older, we suffer the accumulated damage of that biological friction, of those free radicals. And we need more and more of what I call biological lubricant, which is provided by the endocannabinoids. But as we get old, we wind up stressing our biochemistry so that the weak link in our individual biochemistry is what breaks. And that weak link is determined by our genetics and our environmental history, and it can best be dealt with by the way our body deals with it, by supplementing cannabinoid activity. The realistic way to do that is simply through the use of cannabis-based medicines. And that's why we're here now, because we have a very interesting understanding of what's going on in terms of what is life, what is health, and the role that the endocannabinoid system has in it, and how we can supplement that endocannabinoid system with various cannabis-based medicines. So that's our story.
Very intriguing. One thing I have noticed, listeners, a lot of people don't truly understand the cannabis science. Can you tell the listeners a little bit about that from the cannabis science point?
Yes. Well, because we are now an aging population, and we are no longer in America and other first world countries, we are no longer dying from infectious diseases as the primary cause of death. We're dying from these age-related illnesses. And as a result of that, that's why cannabis science is now making the kinds of medicines that will relieve these age-related illnesses. So we have certain specific targets that we're going after. Some of them are not as obviously age-related. For example, two of our actually really primary focuses are on providing medicines to help treat our veterans. It's such a sad story. I'm in Colorado Springs, and this is a military town, and I'm a professor at the University of Colorado here at Colorado Springs. So we have a lot of military personnel that come to take advantage of their military benefits and to improve their education by coming to the university. And what we see happening throughout the military community is as a result of the extended stays that our soldiers are forced into, essentially, by us fighting these two wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, is that we're seeing a lot of what's known as post-traumatic stress disorder. And in turn, we also have a lot of chronic pain, a lot of injured soldiers that, in many cases in the past, would be dead. Because of our improved health care, especially emergency-based health care, these soldiers are now surviving. But they're surviving with trauma and with pain. And we know that cannabis is the solution to both of those particular illnesses. And I can elaborate a little bit on that. For example, post-traumatic stress disorder is the result of basically an individual being overloaded by stressful phenomena. And that kind of provides a permanent or a semi-permanent imbalance in their biochemistry. Think of it for example. We all know that cannabis has a role in forgetting, all the jokes that people make about cannabis, right? The stoner forgets. Well, our body is composed of a balance of opposing forces. We want to remember things, but we also want to forget things. It's got to be appropriately balanced. Imagine if you remembered with great frequency the most traumatic, sad events of your life, and they were on the forefront of your brain all the time. Obviously, you're not going to be happy, and you're not going to have a very pleasant outlook on life because all you're remembering are the horrors of your life. So we need to be able to forget things, but we obviously also need to be able to remember things. And it's our endocannabinoid system that is fundamentally involved in forgetting unpleasant memories. So this is, a wonderful thing for somebody who has excessive trauma that's resulting in what's now known as post-traumatic stress disorder. So if your body is using endocannabinoids to deal with forgetting unpleasant memories, and you have an overload, as occurs frequently with soldiers under duress and stress and long tours, then they need to be able to help them forget and deal with stress. And your cannabinoid system is doing that, both in terms of forgetting unpleasant memories, but also in terms of our biological stress responses. So what's the natural solution? Supplement with cannabinoids, because that's what they're not having enough of in order for them to have dealt with the stress and to continue dealing with the consequences of that stress. So that's one of our primary goals. We know that our soldiers are using cannabis medically from the point of view of veterans. Going back to the Vietnam War, the veterans are using cannabis for their post-traumatic stress. Many of them are finding it to be the most successful medicine that they can use. And when I say many of them, the ones that are exploring the use of cannabis-based medicines in states that now have it legally available, as well as soldiers unfortunately driven to commit this horrendous crime of using the medicine that they find that works best for them. I mean, think of what an offense that is. We send soldiers off to war to fight for freedom. They come back, and they're denied the use of a natural herbal remedy that happens to be exactly what they need. It's a similar situation with chronic pain. If you have acute as opposed to chronic pain, your arm gets blown off.